Restoring men in history, the capture of Ticonderoga, exciting moment in victory, the first offensive for Americans. It happened in May, right after Lexington Concord. We did that for you, and we did Bunker Hill, which is after this. So this Ethan Allen, we grew up with him as a hero as kids, and we were always out in the woods, so I think the Green Mountain Boys had a fascination, and Ethan Allen had a fascination for us. Of course, Patrick Henry always did, but today is about the capture of Ticonderoga, Ethan Allen, and another name you might know, Benedict Arnold. And Ethan Allen would go on and take the initiative against Ticonderoga. Benedict Arnold, of course, I think we'll tell his story another day, but one note on Benedict Arnold, and if you were called Benedict Arnold as a kid, it wasn't a flattering comment, but here, he's with the Americans. He's taking the initiative. And Benedict Arnold's one of the good guys here. So the moral of the story is, be careful whom you marry, because Benedict Arnold, of course, would later marry a loyalist. And we know there was a change made after that marriage with Benedict Arnold. So we're going to read from the actual account, and this is kind of fascinating and exciting for me today because this is the original primary source written by Colonel Ethan Allen himself. And we talked about him so much as a kid, it's exciting for me to be able to share this with you today, the primary source, and we're going to read some of the words right from the page. And also you'll get a feel of what those founders and those revolutionaries, the men, how much they thought of liberty. And I wish we could get that back today. How much they thought of country in a good way, the right kind of country, right? So let's go into this. Colonel Ethan Allen writes this. This is from the primary source, 1779. And we're going to read a lot of his words today so you can hear it. This was a great moment for Americans. Here's his words. Ever since I arrived to a state of manhood and acquainted myself with the general history of mankind, I have felt a sincere passion for liberty. Listen to that. And these guys had that sincere passion for liberty. I wish we could get it back here with a lot more Americans. The history of nations doomed to perpetual slavery. Notice the strong language here, and a lot of the founders use this. Patrick Henry uses this kind of language. History of nations doomed to perpetual slavery. And think of what is going on today with tyranny, digital currency, digital ID, all the digitals, right? In consequence of yielding up to tyrants, their natural born liberties. Think of the First Amendment, how the federal government has infringed on it. Think of the Bill of Rights and where federal government has infringed on it. I read with a sort of philosophical, and listen to the word he uses, horror. So you see, these guys didn't mince words. They think of tyranny as horror, living under tyranny as horror. So that the first systematical and bloody attempt at Lexington to enslave America, notice the language, the strong language, and he believes it, I believe, thoroughly electrified my mind. It electrified his mind. He wanted freedom and fully determined me to take part with my country. He wanted to serve his country. And while I was wishing for an opportunity to signalize myself in its behalf, directions were privately sent to me from the then colony, now state of Connecticut, to raise the Green Mountain Boys. They were a militia that he had formed. And if possible with them to surprise, and get this, take the fortress Ticonderoga. Amazing moment in history. This enterprise I cheerfully undertook. Notice that language, cheerfully undertook. Couldn't wait to do it. And you can tell it in the writing when you read it. He was ready to go. These guys were ready to go. After first guarding all the several passes that led hither, to cut off all the intelligence between the garrison and the country, made a march from Bennington and arrived at the lake opposite to Ticonderoga. And we're going to get into why this was so important for America after we read through his account. I'll go through some of the significance. On the evening of the 9th day of May, remember Lexington Concord's April, then we'll come to Bunker Hill, June. This is May 1775. Who's he got with him? He's got 230 valiant, and he calls them valiant. I like how he respects his men and honors them. Valiant Green Mountain Boys. And it was with the utmost difficulty that I procured the boats to cross the lake. So I had a hard time getting the boats to cross the lake. I landed 83 men near the garrison, set the boats back for the rear guard, commanded by Colonel Seth Warner. But as the day began, he goes, we got to get this. We got to take this. he finds it necessary to attack the fort. I harangued the officers and soldiers in the manner following. Here's a great speech he makes. I like this speech. So this is a fantastic speech he gives to get the men ready. I harangued the officers and soldiers in the manner following. Friends and fellow soldiers, you have for a number of years past been a scourge and terror to arbitrary power. Your valor has been famed abroad and acknowledged, as appears by the advice and orders to me from the General Assembly of Connecticut to surprise and take this garrison now before us. I now propose to advance before you and in person conduct you through the wicket gate. For we must this morning either quit our pretensions to valor or possess ourselves of this fortress in a few minutes. And inasmuch as it is a desperate attempt, which none but the bravest of men dare undertake, I do not urge it on any contrary to his will. You that will undertake voluntarily, poise your firelocks. Now the men were looking on. They were drawn up in 3 ranks. What did they do? The men go with him or not? They all raised their firelocks. So I ordered them to face to the right, and then at the head of the center file I marched them immediately to the wicket gate aforesaid, where I found a sentry posted, who instantly snapped his fuse at me. I ran immediately toward him. He takes charge, and he retreated through the covered way into the parade within the garrison, gave a hello, and ran under a bomb-proof. My party followed me, his guys following him in. I formed on the parade in such a manner as to face the 2 barracks which faced each other. Garrison was asleep. They surprised them. Initiative. And there's that old rule, hit them where they ain't, hit them when they aren't expecting it. The garrison being asleep, we gave 3 huzzas, which greatly surprised them, so they shocked them, astonished them with these 3 yells. One of the sentries made a pass at one of my officers in charge with bayonet, slightly wounded him. My first thought was to kill him with my sword, but in an instant I altered the design and fury of the blow to a slight cut on the side of the head, upon which he dropped his gun and asked horror. I demanded of him the place where the commanding officer kept. Showed me a pair of stairs in the front of a barrack on the west part of the garrison, which led up to a 2nd story in the said barrack, to which I immediately repaired and ordered the commander to come forth instantly. Get out of here. Or I would sacrifice the whole garrison, at which the captain came immediately to the door with breeches in his hand. Pretty funny story, right? They caught him so off guard, Benedict Arnold and Ethan Allen, and this is Ethan Allen's account, so we're not getting much of Benedict Arnold. They surprised him so much the commander has got his breeches in his hand, taking the initiative in battle. When I ordered him to deliver me the fort instantly, he asked me what authority I had. I interrupted him when he began to speak again with my drawn sword over his head, again demanded the immediate surrender of the garrison, to which he then complied, ordered his men to do it. He gave up the garrison. Feltham, a conductor of artillery, a gunner, 2 sergeants, and 44 rank, and about 100, and this is big, this is huge, pieces of cannon, he says. Other sources say it might have been just 59, but anyway, Ethan Allen here says they collected 100 cannon, 1 13-inch mortar, and this is valuable for the Patriots in the Revolution. We need the cannons. The revolutionaries need the cannons. The surprise was carried into the execution of the Gray the morning of the 10th day of May, 1775. The sun seemed to rise that morning with a splendor luster, and Ticonderoga and its dependency smiled on its conquerors, I love that language, who tossed about a flowing bowl and wished success to Congress and the liberty and freedom of America. Going on, but to return to my narration, Warner with the rear guard crossed the lake and joined me, without loss of time, with about 100 men to take possession of Crown Point, which was garrisoned with a sergeant and 12 men. Took possession of Crown Point now on the same day. And he says, and upwards of another 100 pieces of cannon. Now that's very valuable to the Revolution and the colonists and the Americans. But one thing now remained to be done, to make complete masters of what? What's the goal here? What do they want? They want to be complete masters of Lake Champlain. It's key. We'll get into it at the end. Significant for Americans. This was to possess ourselves a sloop of war, which was then laying at St. John. So they want more. Which it was agreed in a council of war to arm and man a skirting schooner, which Benedict Arnold would command. We set sail from Ticonderoga in quest of the sloop, which was much larger, carried more guns. General Arnold, with the schooner sailing faster, got it. So General Arnold is successful. He made prisoners, took prisoners, and that's the story. And what happened? They're now the masters of Lake Champlain. This success, and it's true, he viewed it as a large success and important to the American cause. Such an event would put it out of the powers of the western tribes of the Indians to carry on a war with us and be a solid and durable bar against any further inhumane barbarities committed on our frontier inhabitants by cruel and bloodthirsty savages. So remember, during the French and Indian War, just to go back, that's not in here, this was an important fort. And now they've got it. So let's wrap it up. This was a significant victory for the Americans. The Americans surprised the British, hit them where they weren't. We talked about it, and not expecting. They did what? Took the initiative. It further increased the morale of the Americans. Huge win. Number 3, first offensive victory for the Americans. 3 cheers. 4, strategic. It was an important and strategic fort for the Americans on Lake Champlain in New York. Location offered access to Canada and the Hudson Valley River. The fort would act as a staging area for American troops' invasion of British-held areas in Canada. 5, biggest win, what was it? Well, I think it was the artillery. Allen says he got over 100, some sources say 59. Later, Washington sent Knox to get these guns, and they used them at the Siege of Boston. And that's the story for today. Thank you.